would I recommend this guitar to everyone? No. Now I'm ready to talk. Hello, my name is Flip, and to those of you that are new to this channel, I am a singer, songwriter, and producer, and full-time musician. And today, I wanted to talk about this right here. I want to talk about this, the John Mayer PRS Silver Sky. Let's do it. So before the video starts, I just want to preface this by saying that PRS is not sponsoring me in any way. All the thoughts in this video are my own, and all the opinions are my own. The music in the background that you're hearing right now is me playing this wonderful guitar through a Fender Blues Junior that is being recorded by an SM57, and that of course is with no processing done. All right, in order to get into the details of the guitar, I have to provide a little bit of a backstory as to how I got this guitar. So if you don't care about any of that, feel free to use the timestamps down below and skip to the part that you find the most interesting and the part that is relevant to you. So here's a little history. I've had my eye on this guitar since 2019 when I saw John Mayer play it on Guitar Center's YouTube page, and ever since then it has not left my mind. At the time, me and my wife were still finding our footing here in the United States, so it's safe to say that I wasn't going to own this guitar anytime soon. In the meantime, I managed to get some affordable guitars so I can get some gigs, make some music, and I have accumulated a lot of gear. I mean, as you can see. But the search for that great feeling guitar really continued. I haven't found a guitar that fit well in my hands up until now. And at this point, I started working for a great company called Music and Arts. I was working there as a senior sales associate and learned a lot about gear in general. In 2020, with the whole pandemic thing happening, I found myself, like most, without a job. Not knowing what to do, I thought to myself, it's now or never to get myself into streaming and dive right into my music and see how far I can push this thing. So sure enough, in January of 2020, I started my first stream, and that soon grew into this loving and supportive community that enjoys my music. And it is with the help of you guys that I am able to leave my job and actually be a full-time musician and a streamer, and at the same time afford all of this right here, and definitely be able to purchase the guitar that's been on my mind for 3 years now. Before I give my first impressions, I do have to say one thing. I've always enjoyed playing guitar, but I don't consider myself a professional guitar player. I have a knowledge of theory that helps me figure out and understand how the guitar works. And that is really, really good enough for me to play guitar. With that being said, I really am enjoying this guitar. I really am. I really am having a lot of fun with it. I really enjoy the guitar in what it has to offer in terms of sound. There are small quality of life improvements here and there that stack up and add up over time that made this instrument way more worth than it is. Full disclosure, I'm a huge John Mayer fan, but I am talking about this instrument with as an unbiased opinion as possible. I hope that sentence is correct. So the guitar that I have here is the Dodge in blue with the rosewood neck. If you can't tell a little bit, it's just because in the lighting it changes a little bit, like the color, the little sudden difference in hue. It's a really, really stunning look if you ask me. There's something about rosewood that just makes it pop. That just makes all the tiny little details just shoot out from the instrument. The moment you put this guitar in your lap, you know you have something that is not cheap. But then again, it feels really, really light to the point where it's kind of off-putting. I'm by no means a guitar building expert, so I don't know what goes into making the body of the guitar, what goes into making the guitars particularly sound the way it sounds. So to give you a perspective of the everyday musician, I've separated the review into like 3 parts, or 3 sections, whatever you want to call it. So, first things first is the design. You can tell just by looking at this instrument that a lot of the time that was spent making this instrument was put into making it feel like it's premium. And that can be a good or a bad thing, depending on who you ask. The color, as I mentioned before, that I went with is called Dodge in Blue, but you can find it in various different colors. It's a very slick, low-profile look. Doesn't immediately catch your eye when you're playing it. I mean, guitar players will definitely recognize the guitar and definitely notice what you're playing with. But apart from that, it really has a chameleon feel where it just blends in. Again, as mentioned before, I really love how the color has a nice finish, especially when you like walk into a different room with it, and it almost just feels like it's changing colors. I love the care that's been put into it, especially with the neck and the tuners. Things that I find to be a mild inconvenience in the design, personally, are just two things. I'm not a fan of how lightweight it is. Like, this guy is light. It's almost as if they took the body of a cheaper guitar, put it on a PRS neck, and there you go. You got John Mayer PRS. However, that is just a personal preference. Maybe I'll get used to how this feels and how it like sits on me. Who knows? And second is the open back. I really don't see the purpose of this. I've read some reviews and they give good enough explanations. In all honesty, most musicians won't bother with the back of the guitar 90% of the time. Like the only time you need to access this area is definitely when you're making adjustments to your guitar, and that's pretty much it. And it does make it look a lot cleaner, but when it comes to performing, I don't see anybody on stage pull out a screwdriver just because the tension feels a little bit off. I can also see this situation where in the wintertime, some musicians are wearing a thicker sweater or a blouse and their clothes just get stuck on the springs of the back of the guitar. It will help with the dampening of the twang that comes from that. At this point, I feel like I'm nitpicking, and these are just some things that will work themselves out in the future. But this is what I'm noticing at first glance, so take some of the things I'm saying with a grain of salt. All right, on to the next one. Okay, gotta try my coffee again. Man, coffee is great in the morning. I haven't had the chance to play this guitar prior to buying it today. What you're seeing is literally me just getting it in today, putting it in my lap, trying it on my computer, and all the sounds that you're hearing, by the way, are just, as mentioned before, going through my Fender Deluxe. All the things that I'm saying are the first impressions from the moment that this guitar falls into my hands to the moment I hit the first chord. Like, genuinely, though, these are my impressions. So, how does it sound? Side. This right here is the first thing that struck me as odd. The tone didn't really impress me that much. It's not going to make you a great guitar player by any means of the word. It is a triple S setup with a very punchy tone and very clean one at that. PRS is known for their unique tones and style, but this guitar, as mentioned before, feels really all right. It doesn't have a sound that's going to knock you on your butt, and at first I was a bit discouraged and felt like, oh man, I spent so much money and this guitar is not sounding the way I want it to. Like, what is happening now? But the more I played it, I started to realize this is where the magic lives. The guitar sounds very much like any garden variety Fender Strat to the everyday listener. And the fact that it's almost, looks like a Fender apart from the headstock, it is easy to see how you can confuse this guitar with any other guitar. However, slowly but surely you realize that it leaves a lot of open space for the musician to explore and incorporate their unique touch into the instrument. I've rarely seen this in a guitar. Really feels like an extension of the player rather than an add-on like some guitars do. So I know some opinions might be, oh my god, no, you could do that with every guitar. Every guitar is an extension, every instrument is an extension. I agree. But there are certain things that other instruments give you that you have to have them. This guitar I like to think of as a chameleon, a guitar that represents John Mayer with his unique style that he can fit into almost every kind of genre, and he can do it so seamlessly. I believe that he made the perfect guitar for himself, and he wants other musicians to experience that with him. The excellent tone coupled with the fine tuning of the tone and volume knobs, it really makes this guitar a solid piece for anyone who is interested in upgrading. One nitpick that I have for this part is definitely just the knobs are a little wobbly. So when you're turning the knobs, it really feels like it's something extra. but it has a little bit of a wiggle on every single one of them, and I don't know how I feel about that one. I don't know, maybe it's just my guitar, who knows. So final thoughts. Would I recommend this guitar to anyone? Yes. Are you surprised? I would recommend this guitar to the everyday gigging musician, as well as the studio session guitarists, and definitely to people who are looking to add a bit of a punch and funk in their arsenal of guitars. But the real question is, would I recommend this guitar to everyone? No, this guitar is definitely a dream come true for me. And as much as I would like to say, buy it now, yes, go, spend your money and so on, I would not recommend this guitar for everyone. There's musicians out there who can afford to purchase this instrument, and if you can, get your hands on it, be happy. If this is the instrument you want to go for, go ahead. However, there are some musicians out there who are watching this video and are looking to upgrade and can barely afford this guitar. They can just make it, but they're asking themselves, is it worth it? I would ask you to ask yourself one question. Are your paintings missing the brush strokes, or are they missing the color? There is a lot of color in the world out there. You just have to make sure that this right here is the color that you need for your next masterpiece. Hey, thank you for sticking around to the end. I hope you found the answers that you were looking for in this video. If you want to support me and what I do, feel free to join me over on twitch.tv/flipofficial. I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday on 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please consider subscribing and hitting that like button right there. It really helps the channel a lot. If you have any questions and or opinions, make sure to drop them down in the comment section below. We can have a nice, healthy discussion. With that being said, love you, friends. See you next time.